American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship.
Live from Stores, Connecticut, welcome inside the 2016 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship. This is the American Digital Network. I'm Brendan Gulick alongside Haley Outen. We've got a really fun week planned for you on the pitch, and it starts with the 3-6 matchup in the quarterfinals here today. You've got the SMU Mustangs, who've had a tremendous season, easily the surprise of the conference, and then you've got a team in the UCF Knights who are historically a really talented program. They just haven't really performed the way they wanted to this year.
Yeah, UCF head coach Tiffany Roberts, the Heideck, this is a really talented team. They have a lot of veteran experience, especially in the postseason. They just haven't gotten some of the results they've hoped to this year, but this is the time that this team knows how to shine from years past, and she hopes they can do so here today.
SMU has really been one of the feel-good stories throughout the conference, but because of the home team, we'll start with the Knights. So let's start with some of these keys to the game, and certainly when you're talking about UCF, you know that they've got to come out and control the pace early.
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. They have to strike fast, and in fact, the last time these two met in the regular season, UCF struck first against SMU in the first 3 minutes, but then it was all SMU after that. They put in 3 goals to win 3-1 in the regular season, but for UCF, they're going to have to try to get the lead and keep the lead. SMU has scored 46 goals this season, so you know that UCF really has to bring their game today offensively.
SMU has been a tremendous team because of that offense this season. When you talk about their keys, it really starts with what they do up front.
Absolutely, and actually the last time that SMU faced UCF, they only had 7 shots all game. They scored off a PK and then 2 set pieces, but like I said, 46 goals this year, and their top 3 scorers, Allie Thornton, Vanessa Valadez, and Claire Oates, each have 10, 9, and 8 goals. They spread the ball. 12 players have scored goals for the Mustangs this season.
One of the things that SMU really found some confidence in this season when they were here in Connecticut, tied to UConn Huskies, that kind of let them know, you know what, we're a pretty good team. When you look at the UCF Knights, they've got one of the most exciting players in the conference in Carol Rodriguez.
Absolutely. Carol Rodriguez is a senior on this team. She's a veteran. Last year's co-offensive player of the year. This year, a first-team all-conference selection. She scored 11 goals this season, and the comforting thing for UCF is that when Rodriguez scores over the past 2 seasons, UCF is 16-1-1.
That's a pretty impressive number when she's involved. They're a very difficult team to beat. On the SMU side, You mentioned their balance, but how impressive has freshman Allie Thornton been this year?
Yeah, Coach said that she's been a really great player, and as a freshman, it's never easy to adjust to the college game, but she has good size, good speed, 10 goals this season. She started all 18 games. This team has a lot of freshmen, so it's been huge that she's been able to step up and contribute right off the bat in her collegiate career.
Now, it's a brand new season. Time for the conference tournament. The winner of the tournament goes to the NCAA tournament here shortly. We'll have starting lineups in the opening kick when we come back on the American Digital Network.
The field has been set as the 2016 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship begins Wednesday at Maroney Stadium in Storrs, Connecticut. UConn comes in as the #1 seed as the Huskies won their second straight regular season title. As the top seed, the Huskies not only earn the honor of hosting the tournament, but they also earn a first-round bye. UConn went undefeated in conference play with their only tie coming at SMU. Look out for UConn's Stephanie Ribeiro as she not only leads the league in game-winning goals, and total points, she leads the nation. The redshirt senior comes into the tournament with 11 game winners, 19 total goals, and 49 points. Coming in as the #2 seed and also receiving a first-round bye are the Tigers from Memphis. Memphis finished conference play on a 7-game win streak and an 8-1 conference record, its only loss coming at UConn the first week of conference play. The Tigers are led by forward Valerie Sanderson. In her senior season, Sanderson stamped her name in the record books as she became the all-time leader for goals and points scored and also holds the program record for multiple goal games. To open the tournament, the 6th seed UCF faces off with the 3 seed SMU. The Mustangs finished conference play with a 6-2-1 record and snapped USF's unbeaten streak to open conference play, becoming the first team to sweep both Florida schools on the road since the founding of the American. This is the first tournament appearance for the Mustangs since 2014. However, in previous tournament appearances, SMU has faced UCF, with the Knights having the 2-0 edge in tournament play. UCF is led by senior forward Carol Rodriguez, and when the Brazilian finds the back of the net, it's usually a good sign, as the Knights are 16-1-1 when she scores. The winner of the match between UCF and SMU faces Memphis Friday night in the semifinals. 5th-seeded Cincinnati and 4th-seeded USF face off in the second match of the first round. Both teams finished the season with a 4-3-2 record in conference play. When the Bearcats and the Bulls last met, Cincinnati was the one to strike first. USF freshman Evelyn Vienne responded by netting 2 goals for the Bulls to take the lead. But it was J.C. Brown who scored the equalizer for Cincinnati in the final minute to tie the match that eventually ended in a 2-2 draw. This isn't the first time these teams have faced each other in the conference tournament. In fact, it was just last year that Cincinnati and USF met in the American Championship Final, where the Bearcats would go on to claim the title. Now let's take a look at this season's yearly award winners as announced by the league on Tuesday. Stephanie Ribeiro and Valerie Sanderson were unanimous selections to the All-Conference First Team. Ribeiro was also a unanimous selection for this season's Offensive Player of the Year accolades. UCF's Saga Fredrickson and UConn's Toriana Patterson took home Co-Defensive Player of the Year honors, while UConn's Rachel Hill and Tulsa's Rachel Thun were named Co-Midfielders of the Year. Rookie of the Year honors went to USF's Evelyn Vienne. UConn senior Emily Armstrong took home the Americans Goalkeeper of the Year accolades. And rounding out the yearly awards with yet another tie, this season's Coaches of the Year are UConn's Len Santiris and SMU's Chris Petruccelli. Both the first round and the semifinals will be streamed live and for free on the American Digital Network. And for all tournament information, head to theamerican.org/WSoccer. Sunday's championship final will air live at 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU. For the American Digital Network, I'm Haley Outen.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Just about ready for opening kick tonight in our opening game of the conference tournament. You get a look there as UCF has some last-minute words with each other before they take the field, and I know this is a UCF team that certainly enjoys their head coach. Speaking of Tiffany Roberts-Zahadak, I had a chance to visit with her before the game.
Coach, SMU is a team that has really surpassed many people's expectations this season. What did you learn about them last time out?
You know, they're a really good team. They have a few players that really stand out. They have some size, so they really beat us in the aerial battle. But I appreciate the way they play because they try to keep the ball and play nice soccer.
It's the postseason now. Obviously, all of these games are extremely important. What do you hope to see from your team today?
I just hope that we're relaxed and confident. They know that they're prepared, and you know, the rest of the season is what it is, and now we get to press the restart button. So they're all excited to play.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Going to look there at SMU head coach Chris Petrucelli, who was just named the co-coach of the year in the conference. Also visited with him before the game.
Coach, your team has really flipped the script this year from last season. What has been the biggest difference about this group, and what's impressed you the most?
Yeah, we've played with a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm. You know, we've got a big freshman class that I think has changed our team some. So I think our upperclassmen have gotten better, and the young ones have really added a different dimension in our team.
You guys came out on top against UCF in the regular season, but this is a really good team, a lot of experience in the postseason. What do you guys have to do against them today?
Yeah, they're good. You know, they've always been good, and they were tough to beat when we beat them down in Orlando. So, you know, we're going to have to play pretty well to win the game today.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck today, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Just about ready for the opening kick. There we go. We're off and going in the 2016 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Tournament. UCF in black, moving left to right. And the home team, even though they're on a neutral field, is the SMU Mustangs. They are in white, moving right to left. If you tuned in a little bit late, I'm Brendan Gulick alongside Haley Outen. This is the 3-6 matchup here in the conference tournament. Top 6 teams in the American qualified for play. UConn, who is hosting as the #1 seed for the first time this year, along with the Memphis Tigers. Both got first-round byes, and they will play in the semifinals on Friday. The winner of this game will play the Memphis Tigers, and both of these two teams are awfully familiar with Memphis.
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. It's the best time of the year. It's the postseason. It's win or go home now. So big game here to start off the first round of the championship.
We got an early shot right away from Allie Thornton, who we touched on in the pregame. The leading goal scorer for an SMU team that has been very good this season. You basically summed it up perfectly. They've kind of flipped the script on what everybody across the conference expected from them.
Yeah, it's been a much different year for SMU, a team that has a ton of freshmen, but they've been able to gel. They've been able to find chemistry. And Coach Petrucelli really likes this group.
When we get a chance here, we'll take a look at the starting lineups. First for the UCF Knights. And obviously you want to keep your eye on the bottom lady on the screen, Carol Rodriguez, but Saga Fredrickson did an excellent job this season defensively and was just named the Defender of the Year in conference.
Yeah, Saga Fredrickson is a mainstay on that back line, will be very dominant in trying to keep these SMU Mustangs off the board today, but also Vera Varas in goal. She's been extremely important for the Knights lineup this year.
On the SMU side, we mentioned Allie Thornton and her ability to put the ball in the net, but you certainly can't lose sight of number 15, Vanessa Valdez, either.
Yeah, the SMU offense has been dynamite this year. 46 goals as a team this season. They spread the ball. 12 different players have scored for the Mustangs this season. So not just her, but look out for the whole entire offense for SMU.
A couple of minutes into play. No score quite yet. By the way, our officials today at Maroney Stadium. The head referee is Mark Allaton, and he is assisted by Eddie Fiumura and Hassan Belmanaya. Ball played down in the corner and headed real quickly by UCF's Jen Vera. No relation, by the way. You might think if you hear it quickly. The goalkeeper for UCF, her first name is Vera, last name Varas. Then the defender is Jen Vera. It's obviously no relation between the two, but they have been big parts there of the UCF defense. UCF enters today's game with a record on the season of 9-8-1. They played okay this year at times. They went 4-4-1 in conference play. They really challenged themselves in the preseason and certainly early in the season in the non-conference schedule with games right away at North Carolina, at Duke, and then playing at against South Carolina in late August as well. Ball played toward the midfield. And it rolls across the sideline out of bounds. A throw in for the Mustangs. There we go. Finally comes in. headed down quickly, and the Mustangs maintain possession in the midfield. You know, one of the things that SMU has done really well this season, they have definitely controlled the tempo early in a game, except for one time, and it was against the UCF Knights. That's a game that's fresh in their memory. They gave up a goal in the 3rd minute of that game, and I know that they are looking for a much cleaner start here today.
Giving up a goal in the first 3 minutes is a little bit discouraging. It's a frustrating way to start the game, but especially with this young group, I mean, they found a way to battle back, and you know, they weren't your typical goals, but no matter how you score, it counts, and they were able to win it 3-1.
Knights are going to try to work the ball in the midfield with Morgan Ferrara getting a touch there. What a season Morgan Ferrara's had. Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek talked about the general chemistry of this team before the game, but I don't even think that she could have totally expected Ferrara to make the impact that she did in 2016 here.
Yeah, Ferrara's had a great stretch in conference play. Her and Rodriguez have each tallied 4 goals and an assist, so 9 points in the conference for each of them this season. So they have 2 really powerful people up top.
Fredrickson lost control of it. UCF finds it, and it's in. A UCF goal 5 minutes in the game from Carol Rodriguez. Fredrickson, the defender, was all the way up in the front of the formation, and Rodriguez finds it at her feet after the deflection. The Knights with a goal in the 5th minute.
Wow, is this deja vu or what for SMU?
Rodriguez knows there's so much ahead of her still, and it's an awfully long game, but we get a different look at how this one found its way into the back of the net.
Yeah, Carol Rodriguez is such an aggressive player. She didn't count on the goalkeeper picking up the ball. She was ready to followed up right there, and she places it calmly in the back of the net.
12th goal of the season for a young lady who's been tremendous. UCF again on the attack, and all of a sudden SMU is on their heels here in Connecticut. Throw-in coming in the corner, so we get an early goal right away in this conference tournament. Hopefully that means we'll have wire-to-wire excitement.
Well, you can't count SMU out just yet. You know they know how to score, and this will test their experience in terms of the postseason.
Cleared away by Taylor Barge. And SMU sends it out. Speaking of the tournament, of course, the tournament champions from a year ago were the Cincinnati Bearcats, and they knocked off the USF Bulls. So what the heck? They'll play again here in our second game of the day. Kind of funny how those things work out. We'll have a championship rematch from a year ago about a half an hour after this one concludes here tonight.
Yeah, USF is ready to come out on top in the championship game. They've had a tough stretch these past few years.
They've been conference runner-up 2 consecutive years as it rolls across the sideline. Good challenge from Rodriguez. First foul of the game, so kicked away here by Haley Thompson. She sends it up the sideline and back into the UCF defense, where Adrian Lee sends it back toward Vera Varas. Adrian Lee, another important part of the defense. She is only playing in her 4th game of the season, but kind of at this point of the season, I think it's fair to say, even though you may be out on the field, Haley, and you can certainly touch on this as a former Pirate at East Carolina, by the time you get to the conference tournament, I don't think anybody is quite 100% healthy.
No, this time of the year, there's a lot of players banged up, but you know that you have to fight through it because this could be the end of your season if you don't.
UCF has definitely controlled the tempo in the early going. They've got it deep in SMU territory again. Rodriguez over to challenge. But the Mustangs from the Dallas area, so far, hanging on. Nice clear by SMU defender Jessica Cooley. Knights with black tops and gold numbers. White tops and blue numbers trimmed in red for SMU. This one's lobbed toward the center of the defense, headed away by Taylor Jackson. So maybe the Mustangs have something cooking on the far side. SMU, during the regular season, only lost twice in conference play. That was an awfully impressive stretch for them. They went 12-5-1, as we get a throw in here. 6-2-1 in conference. I mentioned that they lost the 2 games, and those losses came to 2 tournament teams. The number 2 seed Memphis and the number 5 seed the Cincinnati Bearcats. But
That being said, the game that Chris Petrucelli said was probably their biggest of the year was not a win or a loss. It was a draw on this field against the Huskies.
Yeah, Coach Petrucelli said that, you know, they learned the most about themselves in that game. And I thought it was funny when he said he learned that they're a really good team. It gave them a lot of confidence tying UConn, and they know they can play with the best of the best.
SMU throwing on the far side. Finds the feet there of Miss Vanessa Valdez, who's finally back at full strength this year. A couple years ago, and Coach Petrucelli said, you know, I think she was probably not quite at 100% most of last year, but it's very clear that she is back in full form, and she's had a tremendous season for UCF. I beg your pardon, for SMU.
It's never easy coming back from an injury, even though you may, you know, pass all the tests and get the clearances that you need to get back out on the field. You still play with a little hesitation sometimes. You're just not back to full strength and full confidence, I think, more importantly.
SMU trying to mount some kind of offensive attack, and remember, that is what they make their bread and butter on. This is one of the top 10 most potent offenses in all of women's college soccer. They are pretty much ranked in the top 10 in every offensive category. It doesn't matter if it's goals per game, total goals, points per game, total assists, all the way through. This is just a really, really good offense. Sappos was over there. We'll get a replay here of our first goal after the foul on the far side. I beg your pardon, this was the collision first. Both players kind of hit the deck hard. Obviously, Saga Fredrickson, who wears that big, bold number 14 as the conference defensive player of the year. Are you surprised to see her playing up so far in the formation, though, here in the early part of this game?
You know what, yes and no. I mean, I think as a defender, you kind of got to go with the flow of the game. If you see that chance to go up and attack, you just kind of go for it. You know that you're leaving the rest of your defenders on the back line, and if you see the opportunity, you have to take it. That's really tough for SMU to have to deal with defenders in the attack.
SMU on the far side. Run down by Valdez momentarily, but the ball's sent out of bounds, and a Mustang throw-in. It is absolutely beautiful outside here in Connecticut. Can't believe it's November 2nd, and the temperatures all day have been either in the high 60s or the low 70s, depending on how close you are to Hartford. We're about 30 minutes or so, give or take, east of Hartford, and the temperature's a little cooler here, and you can still see some of the leaves on the trees. But it's a beautiful campus here, obviously, at this time of year, and I don't think you could possibly draw this up any better here for early November.
This is a beautiful day, no doubt about it, and I don't know that we'll be so lucky later this week, but I had to kind of chuckle looking at some of the UCF players warming up. There's a few mittens on already, so.
I didn't say it was Orlando. Over on the far side. Sappos sends it back for a moment. Jessica Cooley played up to Valdez. Good footwork. Mustangs looking for an equalizer early on because there's already been a goal this game. Rodriguez in the 5th minute has put UCF on the board. Well done there by Blair Thorpe. Unfortunately, nobody there to help her out, and a goal kick coming.
Goal kick, UCF.
You know, Brendan, one thing that Coach Petrucelli really likes about this team, and Blair Thorpe is a great example of it, he likes that his team has a lot of size. They're a really strong group out there.
We'll see how that strength plays to their advantage today. UCF pretty much traditional on the defensive side. They'll go 4 across. Depends on which side of the ball the field, I should say, depends on which side of the field the ball is on. They'll rotate around a little bit. Sent out of play, and another SMU throw-in. The other thing about these two teams, if you looked at the first game between the two of them, there were far more substitutions than maybe you would have expected, and especially early in the first half. It seemed like maybe SMU might have panicked a little bit, given the way their season had gone so well. And UCF got that goal in the 3rd minute, and then all of a sudden SMU decided to make some wholesale changes.
You know, at that point, I think SMU, they're really learning a lot about themselves. This is a different team this year, so at that point in the season, you know, when you're playing this tough competition in conference, sometimes you just got to try some new faces out there and see what works.
Well, we talked with Coach Petrucelli before the game, and his demeanor was just generally calm. He didn't seem too high or too low, and I think he's excited about being one of the top half seeds in the tournament, though for a long time there were probably hopes that SMU might find themselves as a 1 or 2 seed. I know once they had that draw against UConn, as we have a momentary stop in play. We'll get a good look at this. Here is UCF's Adrienne Lee. Maybe kind of locked her knee up a little bit as she took that lunge. Either way, Coach Petrucelli, I know, was hopeful that, especially after tying UConn, that maybe they could have been the 1 or 2 seed in this tournament. But either way, they've got a matchup here that, if you're an SMU fan, I would think it's favorable.
Well, they know they can win it. They've proved that they can this year, winning 3-1 in the regular season. So they should have enough confidence going into this game, and even being down a goal now. They've been here before. They've seen this story play out. So don't count them out just yet.
Vanessa Valdez off the mark as she turned around and let it fly. So another goal kick. It's kind of funny looking at the way these two teams put together their non-conference schedules. Fair to say they were fairly polar opposite. You've got an SMU team that did not exactly play the strongest non-conference group, and yet they started the year outscoring Northwestern State and Texas A&M Corpus Christi by a combined total of 17-0. That's called starting your year on a good note.
Yeah, that's where a lot of these goals came from this year, but it's never easy to score a goal. You see a game that's 8-0, 9-0, and you're like, oh, they just played a team that, maybe isn't the top team in the country, but at the end of the day, it's never easy to score, and I think they learned a lot about themselves in that time, being able to get that chemistry together on offense.
It's kind of funny that we talk about the offense in those two games as UCF sends it back toward the keeper. It was so much more, in my opinion, about the defense in those games because, yeah, they put up 71 shots, of which 43 were on goal in those two games combined. In two games, though, not once did they allow a shot on goal. Defensively, at the beginning of the season, that's got to make you feel really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, defense never gets any of the love, but when you're not allowing teams to get shots, you're putting your goalkeeper in a really good position as well. So that's definitely that's a good problem to have.
Hannah DeBose appears to be okay, but I'm sure she won't forget that one. Nice move on the far side, but an offside flag goes up. Actually, I beg your pardon, that may be a foul instead. I thought the way it was waved that it would have been offsides. Get a better look at it here. Lee was coming down hard on Valdez. Yep, she definitely got her foot instead of the ball. So free kick coming, and this is a point of emphasis for the Knights. They have not been good this year on set pieces. SMU will trust Haley Thompson to send it in.
Coach Robert Sahidek was specifically worried about these set pieces.
Here it comes toward the keeper, and it's snagged, no problem, by Vera Varis, a sophomore goalkeeper from Finland, and she has a ton of international experience. Sometimes, Haley, you run into players at the college level who have either grown up in or played in other countries, and they've had either some national team experience or something of that equivalent. But I haven't seen too many players who have put together the kind of resume that Vera Varis has in Finland. She has done some really impressive things.
Playing internationally is such a different experience for players. Not only are you getting those extra games in, you're getting to play against the top competition across the world, and you're playing against players that have just trained differently than you growing up. So it's just a really, I think, well-rounding experience for international players.
You also saw there for a quick moment Katie Brown in net. We haven't really mentioned her much. Sophomore from Sacramento, California, in net for the Mustangs. Cross across the box. Nothing really doing there, though not a bad idea from Blair Thorpe. Sophomore midfielder who's played well. Thorpe 5 goals, 5 assists on the season, so she's actually 4th on the team in points. 4th behind Valdez, Thornton, and Claire Oates. About 17 minutes into the game, UCF got a 5th-minute goal off a deflected original save. It fell right at the feet of Carol Rodriguez, the Brazilian senior, and one of the most accomplished players in the program in quite a while. And she made it 1-0 UCF early. So early on, The 6 seed has a 1-0 lead over the 3 seed as we have a foul and a free kick coming.
I think while UCF is the 6th seed, I don't think they feel like the 6th seed here today.
You know, you kind of look at the way the bracket was put together for this tournament, and between UCF having gone to 9 consecutive NCAA tournaments, and the 5th seed in this year's tournament is last year's champion. So you really have a couple of low-seeded teams that are not necessarily your typical underdogs.
I think this is definitely a year that you could say anybody can win this thing because, like you just said, the 5 and 6 seeds, they have experience in these games. You know that they have the talent, and anybody could really win it this week.
UCF trying to play the ball forward. It's deflected a couple of times. The ball rolls out of bounds, and we have our first Knights corner of the game coming. Courtney O'Connell, senior from Virginia, was racing up that far sideline. So Morgan Ferreira, the junior, will take the corner kick. And again, she's been a really integral part of this team here in 2016. Sent on in. To the back post, Rodriguez tried to head it down. She got a little bit too much of it off the side of her head. Well defended by the SMU defense. You know, whenever Rodriguez is in the box, you have to make sure you know where she's at. Here come the Mustangs on the attack. Blair Thorpe leads the way with a couple of nice evasive moves. Now Valdez racing up that side. She was stopped for a moment. A through ball over to Soppos. Little stutter step and a beautiful sliding stop there from Fredrickson. Just another example why she is the defensive player of the year in the conference. So we got an SMU corner kick coming up. Haley Thompson will take another one. Obviously, set pieces are going to be a big point of emphasis here, not just for SMU offensively, but for UCF, who's playing with an early lead. Thompson sends it in, headed out of the box. SMU trying to keep possession alive as Jessica Cooley really went down hard, and she drew the whistle from Courtney O'Connell.
Jessica Cooley goes down hard there, and this is a spot on the field that, again, is very dangerous for UCF. SMU has size and they have height. You can see them all bundled up there in a group on the far side. They're definitely going to look for one of their tall targets right here.
Shadows are starting to become an issue, although there are awfully bright lights, so we will play under the lights tonight. Thompson sends it toward the back post, and a really well done job by Vera Varis to go up high and grab it away.
Claire Oates really wanted that one. There was some good jersey tugging right there, but it's going to be tough to get your head on those, especially with Farrah Varis in net.
Varis sends it back over to the far side. It's awfully fun to be at the time of the year now where we can compete in the conference tournament for lots of the teams all across conferences across the country that will not have an opportunity to compete in the NCAA tournament. This is really where you try to have your shining, lasting moments.
Right now, it doesn't really matter what you've done so far this season. What matters is what you do here today. And if you get the win, just taking it one game at a time, because for a lot of these teams, the postseason is not definite.
Taylor Barge sizing it up for a moment, waiting for everybody to set themselves across the 18. Right foots it toward the top of the box. Valdez chases after it, and she was cut off by Fredrickson, while Varis made a tremendous diving stop. Nice little give and go on the far side. Rodriguez had it sent too far in front of her, and Barnes will roll it back to her teammate Katie Brown. What do you like about the way the Mustangs have tried to mount their attack so far? I know the game has been, for the most part, favorable to UCF offensively, but SMU's had a few chances.
You know, you just saw it right there, but they've been very aggressive in the air, and I think that you don't see them panicking when the defense is getting the ball at their feet and they're trying to pass it out. They're not clearing the ball. They're not afraid of UCF, so they're keeping their composure, just trying to find their rhythm.
Got a throw in coming on the near side. Let's see who will take it for UCF. Originally it looked like it would be Beto. Then she gave it up. Coach Petroselli will send it back to the opposition. Jen Vera sends it in. And then she right foots it well up the field out of bounds. Well, we're about halfway through the first half. And so far, the UCF Knights have come on the road as the lowest seed in the tournament. And they've got an early goal. Talking with head coach Tiffany Roberts-Saheda before the game, she said that she really hopes that the strength of schedule in the non-conference prepares her team for playing a tough team like SMU in the conference tournament. That's not something that she really has to touch on, but you know, she doesn't want to add the pressure, but she knows that, hey, we can handle these kinds of situations.
Yeah, she mentioned she learned a lot about her team during that time, playing a tough schedule. You know, the tough part sometimes, even with SMU's schedule this year, while they shined bright during it, once you get into conference play, it's still maybe a little bit of a question mark as to how you're going to do.
Mustangs in the top of the box. Valdez sends it up high, and the offside flag goes up. UCF probably at a spot right now where they would have to win the conference tournament or be extremely impressive and earn an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament. They have a stretch of 9 consecutive years where they've competed beyond the regular season. And that is in jeopardy here in 2016 after a 9-8-1 campaign.
Sitting at an RPI of 53 right now, you know, you're in that field, but you have to anticipate a lot of upsets in conference tournaments. So coaches never really feel safe unless they're in the top 40 or so. So at least winning today and on Friday, making it to that Friday game is very important for them. But I know that Coach Roberts-Saheda would just like to win it all so that she can rest easy during the selection show.
Well, a couple of substitutions here for UCF. Christine Creighton comes into the game, and Zandy Soray, the freshman midfielder from Weston, Florida. Morgan Ferreira gets the breather, as does Hannah DeBose, a couple of players that certainly featured in the offense. Got a free kick coming. UCF doesn't seem to necessarily agree, but they'll work with it. Knights and the Mustangs in the opening game of the 2016 American Women's Soccer Tournament. Thompson softly sends it over on one hop. It's loose in the box and rolled out freely. Still a scurry for it, and the referee says play on. So the Knights will attack. Look at Creighton flying up the near side of the field. They're looking for her as the ball goes to the box. Diving stop by Katie Brown as the ball would have likely been outside that left post, but that's the kind of quick counter UCF is capable of putting together.
Absolutely. They have the speed and athleticism to get up the field very quickly, so a very dangerous moment for SMU, but right before that, a very dangerous moment for the UCF defense.
That's the kind of play we are going to be in for all night, we hope. No doubt about that. Certainly can make the game a little more exciting come tournament time when you get teams making fast breaks that way. SMU near the midfield. And UCF defensively, they basically got 8 players within about 40 yards of each other, making it awfully tough. Good sliding tackle there from Jen Vera, and the ball goes out of bounds. Thompson will throw in. She got it right back for the moment. Well, not a bad idea. It is a throw-in, not a goal kick coming. UCF got a goal in the 5th minute from their leading goal scorer, Carol Rodriguez. who just jumped up for the header there. She's got her hair pulled up on the top of her head and sports the big number 99, which always makes me laugh. It's kind of funny to see someone elect to take a number so odd. We asked Coach Robert Sahedek about that before the game, and she laughed and she said, I think it's her way of wanting to stand out. Well, she certainly is able to let the 12 goals so far this season do the talking, but she's earned the right to wear a number that bold.
She's a very exciting player to watch. She's not afraid to try anything. Last year we watched her score off a bicycle kick, and she's attempted a few more of those this year, so you just kind of never know what to expect from her. A very, very exciting player.
That bicycle kick was all over the national scene, Sports Center and all the different blog sites. She really made headlines, and to her credit, it was a really impressive goal.
Goal kick, UCF.
Goal kick coming here for UCF. We have played almost half an hour here in the opening game of the tournament so far. A reminder that we do have a second game coming tonight, a rematch of last year's championship game between the USF Bulls and the Cincinnati Bearcats. USF the 4 seed, Cincinnati the 5 seed. The winner of that game gets the host and number 1 seeded UConn Huskies on Friday night at 7 o'clock. That game will start about a half an hour after this one wraps up. Katie Brown clears it out. UCF in the midfield looking up the far side. Lots of volleying back and forth. Really like the pressure that the front several players for UCF are putting on. Their forwards and mids are really applying a lot of pressure on the SMU defense. By the way, we get a look here at the graphic. The UConn Huskies and the Memphis Tigers earned the first round bye, so they're at the top there. Everybody's off tomorrow, but then on Friday, we will have the semifinals. Sunday's championship game will air live on ESPNU, a 2 o'clock kick for the American Conference Championship. UCF with a real opportunity. Bridget Callahan sends it over toward Rodriguez, and offsides is waved. Too bad it was close. Rodriguez was looking for another spot, point-blank range from the goal.
They had the right idea right there, but the SMU defense on the same page, able to pull Rodriguez off sides.
This one sent over to the near side, just a short kick away. Katie Brown, the sophomore from Sacramento, went to St. Francis High School. Made a couple of starts last year as a freshman and has really played an important role, basically playing almost exclusively as the team's keeper here in 2016. He's a applied physiology major. Wants to get into pre-physical therapy. Ball rolling toward the corner. Everybody chasing after it. Good effort from Valdez. She ran out of real estate, but nonetheless got after it pretty well.
Vanessa Valdez going after the ball. They're trying to keep it in and send it across the 18-yard box, but goes out for a goal kick.
UCF up the near side. Not a bad idea looking for the streaking Christine Creighton. Couldn't quite track her down. Vargas did not earn all-conference honors this year as a goalkeeper, but she was on the all-rookie team a year ago and was a member of the all-conference, I should say, of the conference all-tournament team. At 18 starts a year ago, really was a big part of that UCF team that got an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament. So far, she's got a shutout intact. 1-0 Knights in the closing third of the first half. Up the far side for UCF. Well, plenty of passes exchanged near midfield. UCF trying to pick their spots wisely as that one was headed quickly back up into the air by Katina Sapos. Well, the Mustangs will play it back defensively. They just haven't found much of an opportunity here over the last probably 7 or 8 minutes. They just haven't generated much. And they're hoping to make a substitution here quickly. Freshman Mary Meehan waiting to check in. She had a goal in the team's most recent game to end the regular season. And there's the horn to send in Ms. Meehan. And she will spare Blair Thorpe, sophomore from Frisco. Second substitution as well. Avery Ortman, the freshman from Tomball, Texas, checks in. Ortman chasing that one down after Beto sent it back toward Varis. The kick from Varis didn't travel very far. It had a lot of backspin on it, and here come the Knights. They've got numbers. UCF with a chance here, a shot coming, and it's low and too much at Katie Brown. One nothing UCF. I believe it was Amanda Wilkin, number 15, that put that one on net. Beto tries to run it down defensively for the Knights and gives it back to Fredrickson. She'll center for a moment and then get it back. Looking for Adrian Lee. Well, UCF's done that little give and go on the far side a couple of times. That one didn't work quite as well, but it really led to a nice break up the field last time as Fredrickson will throw in.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier, Brendan, but seeing a defender like Fredrickson get up the field so much, he has so much speed outside, and a lot of teams will use those outside backs as an extra member of the offense. Ortman with a nice cross, but unfortunately, Varis got there ahead of time, so nothing doing for the Mustangs. UCF's looked really good in this first half. They've capitalized on one of what I would consider 2 really high-scoring probabilities. And the defense has held their ground the rest of the half. A win for UCF. Their season would extend to Friday, and they'd get a date with the Memphis Tigers. Here come the Knights again. Fredrickson trailing behind the rest of the offense this time. Looking for Rodriguez. She looked back into the middle once again, but nothing came of it. Now Ortman, I think her jersey was tugged on. She stays with it. Well, 2 defenders close down on her, and Adrian Lee is able to get rid of it. Tell you what, Avery Ortman has really provided this team with a nice spark since coming off the bench. You can tell she's a really strong physical player. She uses her body really well, but the UCF defense was just able to work back, not give up, and track her down. Here's another look at it. Ortman going, she's physical, feisty player in there, is trying to track it down, but just outnumbered.
Meanwhile, Haley Bishop has come on for SMU, and she takes the place of Vanessa Valdez, the redshirt sophomore forward. Bishop comes right into the game, and she almost found the ball at her feet immediately. Under 10 minutes left in the first half. Got a throw in over on the far side. SMU working the ball defensively. UCF seems to be forcing SMU into some bad passes in the midfield. Too many times, SMU hasn't really had a crisp look in trying to move the ball forward. Well, they've run into some really physical play like that. Good job by Meehan to stay with it, at least for a moment. Well, and the first time these two teams met, they played basically a 1-1 tie for 80 minutes before SMU scored 2 goals. They scored in the 81st minute and in the 87th minute as this one is lofted too high. Not a bad idea, but off the mark. Sapos had a decent look at it.
Here's another look. Sapos with the shot outside the 18-yard box, just over the net, but a good look. She has to take those shots and test Varas.
So Varas will send it right back to where it came from. Caroline Beto. And she'll send it most of the way up the field. Under 8 minutes to go in the half. Well, nobody was really up there. Christine Creighton not pressing the defense. Katie Brown to send it away. High arcing punt to the middle of the field. Headed up toward Creighton. She may have gotten a lucky break. Thought, no, okay. Yeah, Thompson definitely touched that with her hand, and then the late whistle came in. So free kick coming for the UCF Knights. Christine. 7 minutes to go before halftime. Can UCF add another one before the break? Mary Meehan with maybe a little mind game there.
Got to ask for 10.
Look at Coach Petrucelli in the bottom of the screen. He was just kind of shaking his head. Into the box. Headed high up into the air. And then the Mustangs knock it free. Maybe something here, though. Creighton in front. Katie Brown dives and saves it. Mustangs can't believe there was no offside flag, but boy, Christine Creighton nearly made this a 2-0 game.
Looked like it could have been offsides from here, but they have the better angle down there, obviously. Great shot by Creighton. Very dangerous opportunity for UCF.
So the Knights applying extreme pressure here at the tail end of the first half. Creighton again. And her cross was deflected. It will stay in play for Brown. She tried to get it to Rodriguez in the middle. Boy, Katie Brown has really been tested here. Seems to kind of be a lot of complaining on the field at the moment. There's a lot of looking at the officials from both sides, hoping for calls. Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek has to be, at least so far, fairly happy with the way things have gone, given the reflection on the scoreboard, but she certainly knows there's a long way to go. Catherine Herron sends it to the far side. Rodriguez may be on the move. Haley Bishop tried to slow her down. Creighton chests it ahead. And it's cleared away. Oh, Fredrickson got the ball right back. Rodriguez back to Fredrickson. Well, nothing came of it.
Very aggressive play by Fredrickson, getting all the way up there into SMU's territory. Makes it tough for the SMU defense when you have to track on UCF defenders as well as the UCF offense.
She's done that quite a bit. Zondi Soray, Julia Ekholm, and Caroline Beto, along with Courtney O'Connell, they've all done a nice job back on the defensive side of things. And Fredrickson has really pressed up quite a bit. Ball sent freely, kind of clear of everybody. SMU with under 5 minutes to go before halftime. Can they put something together and try to tie this game? Well, not at the moment. Jen Vera will throw it in. Vera from Ocala, Florida, near Tampa. I'm sure it'd be fun for her to get down and play at USF a couple of times in her career. Get a chance to play in front of her family and friends, I would imagine. Under 4 minutes to play. Well, rolled out to the far side. When SMU's had the ball like this defensively, it seems as though it's been very consistent. They've just sort of sat there and looked up, tried to figure which way to attack, but they haven't been able to do too much. I think it's been a disappointing first half, truth be told, for the Mustangs. They can erase all of that, though, with a goal here late first half with about 3 minutes left.
Outside of set pieces, they really haven't had any dangerous opportunities, but they're passing it around. UCF's trying to disrupt that.
Thompson throws it toward the center. Nothing doing that time. Amanda Wilkin passed it off. Looking for Creighton. And Rodriguez heads it out of bounds. Rodriguez had the goal very early on. She scored in the 5th minute of play. When these two teams met in the regular season, again, this was a game that was won by the Mustangs. The shot count actually heavily favored UCF. Southern Methodist University only got 7 shots off, but they put 3 of them in the net.
I think that goes in line with what Coach Robert Sahidek was saying to us before the game. Just they've played well in a lot of games, but sometimes you just don't get the result, and that can be frustrating.
Maybe something for Ortman here. Under 2 minutes to go. UCF gets rid of another opportunity. And that one rolls out of bounds. Final 90 seconds before halftime. See how much gamesmanship here goes on between the Mustangs and Knights. Saga Fredrickson. She tried to throw it to Rodriguez. Back to Katie Brown. Under a minute to go.
In the first half.
Vanessa Valdez played an important role early in the game. She came out of the game about 10 minutes ago, though. This was where Valdez had been playing, sent back and over the top of the net.
Okay, UCF.
Not a bad idea. Haley Bishop's been aggressive. Varis will take her time and then send it free. Varis sends it free. One more last push.
9, 8,
Bishop
7, 6,
keeps it in play.
4, 3.
Catherine Herron to Ortman, and her shot is blocked. Halftime of Game 1 of the 2016 American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Championship Tournament. And it's the 6th-seeded UCF Knights on top 1-0. A physical first half dominated by the lower seed with a very early 5th-minute goal, and it came from their leader, Rodriguez.
Rodriguez with her 12th goal of the season. This is a game that SMU has seen before earlier this year, down 1-0 last time, down 1-0 again. So can SMU come back here in the second half?
We'll find out. Halftime coming up next on the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
SMU women's soccer has had a great start to their season, and their large freshman class has proved to be a great asset.
I think this group has really changed the team dynamic. I think the energy and enthusiasm that they've brought into the team has helped the team overall, but it's also, it's really helped the upperclassmen as well, and they've meshed together pretty well, and it's been exciting.
They have a lot of energy, and there's 10 of them, so it's almost half of our team, so you kind of, bring up the excitement for the rest of us.
These 18-year-olds are sometimes battling it out on the field with girls who are about to graduate.
It can be intimidating knowing you're playing against like 21 and 22-year-olds, so there's kind of that added pressure, but you adjust and you can't really tell much of a difference once you get used to it.
As a freshman, it can be intimidating playing people 4 years older, same as it was in high school, and so I think just having confidence when they play because they all have the ability to do well.
It can be tough, but it's also a motivation, and I enjoy the challenge.
While they adapt to a more intense athletic schedule, these girls also have to adjust to being at college for the first time.
Time management is a huge thing, but we did summer school, a month of that, so that helped a lot getting acclimated when we don't have the whole college campus here.
The seniors really have helped us on the field by coaching us what to do, specifics with the team and with our schoolwork. It's been a lot of hard work, but the hard work has paid off because we've been successful.
These SMU women have already proved that they belong on the team.
It's a young group, but also a mature group in the way that we play together and connect together on the field. I think everyone brings a little bit of confidence and stuff, so we treat them just, like their teammates. It's not any different. There's no class division on the team.
Think of all of us as they're just as good as anyone on the team, and they've earned their spot.
SMU has always had skilled players on the roster, but these girls bring a little something extra.
Everyone's really hungry and ready to come out and play hard.
Yeah, they all work really hard and they never give up. Even if we're down, they keep fighting till the end. They fight all 90 minutes until the game is over.
The whole SMU women's soccer team is excited for the season ahead and the opportunity to prove themselves.
And from an underdog position, we have a lot to prove and a lot to show, so we're ready to take on conference.
For Campus Connect at SMU, I'm Noelle Kendall.
The country of Brazil is known for its famous soccer stars such as Pelé, Ronaldinho, and Neymar. One young Brazilian is making a spotlight of her own on the UCF women's soccer team. Carol Rodriguez, known for her bicycle kicks and outstanding offensive play, it's no surprise that she's a spark on and off the field for the Knights.
Carol is an amazing human being, really. She's a great leader for our team. She's a team captain, but she has so much energy and passion. Not just for this game, but just for life. She just brings so much energy to this team, so I'm thankful to have a player like that.
Yes, I always want to surround myself with people that make me better, and my teammates always make me better. We always come out to the field to do extra work. They always say, Carol, come on, let's do something extra, let's do something more. So it's really good to have people helping you to get really a high level every day,
We first identified Carol, and we were watching and coming out to her junior college games. She was doing bicycle kicks during her team warm-up. So we actually got to know her by her bicycle kicks before games, and so we figured she'd pull those out once she got here, which she has. So I think it's pretty expected from our Brazilian.
So Carol, you do a lot of bicycle kicks, and I know it's something that originated in Brazil and it's very popular there. Do you mind taking us through what you do when you practice that and the steps into performing a bicycle kick?
Oh, actually I don't practice that because it's really hard to be out here just doing bicycle kicks. It just happens sometimes in the games. So if it is off a cross, you just gotta go up with your left leg first and then hit with your right. If the ball comes to you, then you gotta set yourself up.
All right, that all sounds easier said than done. Would you mind showing us how it's done?
Yeah. A couple of ways that you can do that. If the ball comes on your chest, you just gotta pop the ball up with your chest, and then you put your left leg first, and then you hit with your right. If the ball comes lower, you just gotta set yourself up. So you just gotta pop the ball up with your feet, and then the second step is the same process. You just go with your left first, and then you hit with your right. So it looks like that. We say bicicleta in Brazil.
After her first year at UCF, Carol was named the American Athletic Conference Co-Offensive Player of the Year and First Team Honoree. Reporting for Campus Connect from UCF, I'm Stefan Henry.
Most athletes can only dream about making it to the Olympics, but for 7 SMU swimmers, Rio this summer was their reality.
It was an awesome experience. You go outside, you go into the stadium, you walk in, and then you know that you're representing 47 million people, and you know you have to do it. So it was the best experience of my life to represent my country, and I'm extremely thankful. I'm very blessed to be able to do it.
I don't think it could be described with words. Like, you gotta go and feel it to really understand what it's like.
Besides the obvious athletic talent, these Mustangs have the mental toughness and determination needed to propel them to the top.
Well, they have to have, number one, a dedication, to a high level of competition, and really know that they have to really prepare themselves to be able to compete at that level. And our program at SMU has a strong tradition, and we try to be excellent not only at the NCAA level, but also for the swimmers to have a chance to be competing internationally. And
if you want to succeed, you have to work hard, and then there is no other way around it. Work hard. If you have dreams, you will achieve them.
I think mental stability is the most important thing at the Olympic Games, because everybody's prepared physically, everybody's ready to do their best, but mentally not a lot of people can cope with the anxiety and with the stress of being there.
We're all the same in the pool. As long as you have this here, then you're set to go. You can be racing Michael Phelps, you can be racing whoever it is. If you're strong in your mind, you can beat them.
Not only did SMU send swimmers to Rio this summer, alumna Nina Rangulova brought head coach Steve Collins to help her in the arena.
He knows how to approach me in different situations. Swimming is an individual sport, and there are situations when there are certain things that he needs to tell me, or certain moments when he should not say anything. And he knows when these moments are, because we've been training together for 6 years. And
we've been able to, through recruiting to SMU, bring in some great swimmers, and consequently a lot of them have asked me to be their coach at the Olympic Games, and so it's been really a great pleasure for me to get a chance to do that.
You might think that training for collegiate swimming would seem boring after such an elite meet, but apparently not.
Just at SMU, you have a school, and it's a lot harder, so you have to manage your time a little better. But the training is the same. You always work hard. Every time you come to the pool, it's another chance to get better, and I always take advantage of that chance.
At the end of the day, these swimmers are among the best, and they have the experiences to prove it.
It was amazing to race such elite swimmers.
The feeling when you walk out in the stage, when you're walking into a semi-final and you see a stadium is completely packed, you're racing Michael Phelps, you're racing Chad Leclerc, you're racing the best of the world.
For Campus Connected SMU, I'm Noelle Kendall.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Limitless, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At SMU, students and faculty work hand in hand to shape answers to real-world challenges.
Yes, there's no such thing as a lesser person.
How can we strengthen human rights around the world?
It turns out computer malware is extremely...
How do we prevent cyber terrorism?
The limb comes off.
How can the human body set new records of performance? What can presidents teach us about leadership? From the SMU campus in Dallas, we're shaping the answers that will shape the future of the world.
They never had lights, but now they got lights. How is the room doing over here? You doing good, man? I think they're in second place. No. USF. USF is third. Oh, wow. USF beating. Oh, so they're playing in the quarterfinals? I think so. Yeah, it's gonna be over there. Oh, at USF. At USF. Yeah, are you coming down though? This week? Huh? Yeah. Come on. Enjoy your life. I like to get my car dry. An hour and 15 minutes, that's fine. Even maybe you're at Red Bull, that was fun, right? Yeah, Red Bull. Sunday. I think the final on TV. Final ESPN U, I want to say. Yeah. Winning used to be the Big 8. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. UConn was in.
Need some energy.
They were Big East.
Where'd you take that from?
Unfortunately, with the way that it worked, the year that Virginia Tech and Miami, when they left the Big East, UConn should have said, we should probably get out of here, because now it's too late. Now it's too late. They just tried to go to the Big 10, or the Big 12. Yeah, that's it. They tried to go to the Big 12, but Big 12 said they're not taking any more teams. It's a basketball school. They're not football. You know, football doesn't make any money. You know, basketball makes money. So you're working with Benio Keith? No. No, don't do it. Oh, I just got out there. I haven't run any games in California. No, don't wear it. Yeah, no, dry 82 sun.
How many extras? It's like 15 right there. You let me down. Now I gotta worry about taking this off. Huh? No, I put my sweatshirt over, realizing I didn't take this off. Now I have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Try that protein bar yet?
Not yet. How was it?
I didn't try it yet. I put it in my bag.
Yeah, I didn't need it.
I'm thinking if I have to work both games, I'm going to need it.
Exactly.
What's it? It'll be on.
Just let me coach ya, show you about my culture. It's a late night show like Coke now. This party ain't over. Go camera here and grab your friend by the hand. Let me know get you down. Body like they make of the year. I might make that play of the year. I already know that we don't play fair, but I think that you and your girl, give me some of that. We stand.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I want to make sure marketing continues.
Halftime in Game 1 of the American Athletic Conference Women's Soccer Tournament. And it's a 1-0 lead for the 6th-seeded but veteran UCF Knights, who have been to the NCAA tournament 9 years in a row, and they are anything but a typical 6th seed. Well, they got a 5th-minute goal from their leading goal scorer this season, Carol Rodriguez. And right now, it's the high-flying SMU offense that's kind of looking for answers here at the start of the second half.
The SMU offense is going to have to do something here in these next, hopefully, few minutes to get it going in this game. And UCF started exactly how they wanted to in those first few minutes, getting on the board, knowing how high-powered the SMU offense is. So good start for UCF. We'll see what SMU can do. As
we get underway, how important in your mind is it that SMU score in a certain time period, or is it more just about getting comfortable and getting the looks that they want?
I think it's getting comfortable, but I think they were trying to get comfortable throughout the first half. I mean, they did pass it around, even though they didn't get maybe the same types of looks UCF did, but it would definitely help them here to get on the board in these next few minutes. One thing you don't want it to do is go to overtime and go to PKs. So getting a goal here in these next few minutes could definitely give them some serious momentum.
SMU is one of the better teams in the country. They are high enough in the RPI that they are hopeful that regardless of what they do in this tournament, they would still receive a bid to the NCAA tournament. So if they were to be knocked out early, while that would certainly be disappointing, it's unlikely, not for sure, but it's unlikely that their season would be over. UCF trying for a quick strike, and a ball headed back the same way it came from on the left side. On the other side of things, if UCF does not come up with a win today, and probably with a win in the tournament, it's very unlikely that they would continue.
UCF feels the pressure here tonight, but they've been in these situations before in the postseason, so knowing they kind of have to win tonight to go on, and maybe even Friday night. I mean, really, there's a lot of uncertainty when you don't win the conference tournament when you're in UCF's situation.
SMU with a free kick here at the early part of the second half. Taylor Barge will take it. Barge, a senior from Dallas, Texas. She went to Plano West High School. Played to the top of the box. Nicely done. And then lofted in there toward Vera Varis. I would love to know, this is totally random, I would love to know how many kids go to Plano West and Plano East High School. I don't know if you've spent much time down in Dallas or not, but that area is so heavily populated. I have to imagine that those high schools are just enormous.
They're enormous, and they're enormously loaded with talent. You can play soccer all year long just about in Texas, so there's a lot of soccer talent in that state, no doubt.
It certainly speaks to a pretty strong Texas contingent on this SMU roster. Chris Petroselli just won Co-Coach of the Year in the American, along with Len Santiris here from Connecticut. A well-deserved honor for a team in SMU that, well, quite frankly, nobody expected much from, because they were picked second last in the preseason conference poll, and here they are as the 3 seed, and for a while there was a question of whether or not they might host this tournament.
Brendan, this is the team that hosted the conference tournament last year, and they didn't even get to play in it. They had to sit at SMU and watch other teams compete for the conference championship last season. So you have to imagine that gave them some extra motivation, especially heading into this tournament.
The UCF is going to take a corner kick here in the early going. I have to imagine that probably became bulletin board material all off season. It can't have sat well with the SMU Mustangs. Corner kick coming for UCF's Morgan Ferreira. High into the box, and a leaping grab by Katie Brown over the top of a Knight. Katie Brown isn't exactly all that tall. She's only 5'9", and she used every inch of that vertical to go up and snag that one away.
That was a great ball, and that could have been very dangerous for SMU.
The UCF has struggled this year on set pieces. SMU at halftime had only put on one corner on net. And ironically, the other big number that really draws your attention, UCF has committed 9 fouls, not one, against the Mustangs here today. The only numbers that matter are on the scoreboard at Moroni Stadium, and it's the Knights on top 1-0 thanks to a 5th-minute goal from Rodriguez. By the way, we did have one yellow card issued in the first half. Bridget Callahan was booked in the 10th minute.
Didn't see that.
I have to admit, I didn't either. We are 5 minutes into the second half, and a corner kick now on the other side. This time it is for SMU. Haley Thompson will take this. Haley Thompson from Lone Tree, Colorado, sends it in with the left foot, curling toward the net and headed away. Mustangs might not be done with their threat, though. And it ends up being picked up by Vera Varis.
With a team that does find so much success off of set pieces, eventually one of these here could give. So UCF needs to be careful about committing the fouls in their defensive territory as well as giving up the corner kicks, because this is a team that can definitely capitalize on these situations.
The Memphis Tigers await the winner. They are the number 2 seed in the tournament, and that game is set for Friday at 4:30. That is a semifinal matchup. Championship game set for Sunday afternoon. It's a 2 o'clock game. Course, ESPNU. That will conclude what will hopefully be 5 fun games in this tournament. Valdez turned away as Fredrickson stuffed her. There she comes back to the middle of the field, and Valdez fights in there to get one free. Kind of a head-scratching clear toward the corner toward O'Connell. And it's out of bounds. Nevertheless, Fredrickson is certainly going to be physical with Valdez as she bumped her again there.
Fredrickson is definitely playing with some aggression, and I think what people forget about what she does playing outside back and the way that she's attacking is that takes a ton of fitness. What she's doing is not easy out there, not only getting up in the attack, but then getting back defensively, because that's her priority.
Well, and you keep in mind, too, that while traditionally, if you look down maybe at a graphic, they probably play a 4-4-3, as you get a replay here of a rather hard effort there from Courtney O'Connell. I think that's a nice way to put it. Anyways, while they probably play a 4-3-3, you'll see that formation change quite a bit. Tiffany Roberts-Sahedek is comfortable with letting her team do that because they have a good feel for the flow of the game. Meanwhile, into the middle of the box, the Mustangs are turned away again. And that 1-0 lead for the Knights still holds.
It's definitely not a traditional UCF back line. While you may, like you said, see 4 back there, I think they generally rely on 3, and Fredrickson is a big part of that attack.
Into the corner. Kind of in a tough spot. Blair Thorpe gives it up. And the ball rolls up over that far sideline out of bounds. Carol Rodriguez with her 12th goal of the season off a ball played into the box that was deflected as Katie Brown dove to her right. And then Rodriguez just, it's cliche, but it's true. It was right place, right time. She happened to be there, and then she easily buried it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. She followed it up, and she couldn't have been in a more perfect place.
Meanwhile, Valdez trying to have something to say about it. And Fredrickson practically stiff-armed her off the ball. No foul. Knights on the near side with O'Connell giving it up. Now Rodriguez playing far side. No offsides flag. Hannah DeBose. Into the middle. Backside for Rodriguez. And what an effort to try and keep that ball in play. She definitely kicked up a big chunk of turf. But unfortunately, the ball rolls free. Still a good ball play to the back post by DeBose.
Yeah, the ball comes in. She tries to get her outside of her right foot on the end of it because that's really all she can do there. Yeah, like you said, a big chunk of grass goes flying. Good effort.
You can see the white paint stain all up her right thigh. She didn't even bother to wipe it off. She goes after the ball again, and now you're seeing some very physical play. This is definitely a little bit more uppity than we saw in the first half.
That's how this game could trend, especially when you're playing in the conference championship, knowing that this game could be your last. You're going to lay it all out there on the line physically, so I would not be surprised to see this game get more physical as the half goes on.
Just start to see what more you can get away with until that whistle finally gets blown. Thorpe plays it back into the defense. Almost 10 minutes into the second half. SMU's had a couple of opportunities, but nothing beyond the one they just had on the offensive end a moment ago when Valdez was turned away. Look at Rodriguez all the way back defensively, and she heads it clear.
She knows what's at stake as a senior, knowing they're up 1-0. There's a lot of soccer left to be played, so I don't imagine she's going to stop fighting here anytime soon.
Carolyn Beto sends it out of bounds, and we get a throw-in coming. This Knights team was tested all season long, and I know it sounds silly to say it, but when you look at the standings, with a 4-4-1 mark, they basically beat everybody that finished below them. They lost to UConn, Memphis, SMU, and UC. Those are the 1, 2, 3, and 5 seeds. And they tied the 4th seed USF. So you can almost chalk it up to we beat who we were supposed to beat, and at least the way the standings finished at the end of the year, the teams that finished ahead of you, those were the teams that you fell short to. Nobody really wants to finish 500, but I suppose it's probably better that way than the other way, right? You certainly have a hard time swallowing losing to teams you feel you could beat. So what I guess I'm getting at, this UCF Knights team knows that they're capable of competing hard in a game like this, and we are going to see a yellow card here. That was a violent collision. SMU all heading back over to their teammate, making sure she's okay. Haley Thompson says, thumbs up. I'm all right.
I think that yellow card went to Hannah DeBose. You'll see it right here. She goes in for the tackle, but misses the ball.
Well, that was, in my opinion, a case of about 3 other physical plays that weren't even whistled. And you just keep on going until at some point somebody tells you to stop. Top of the box. Headed off to the side. And the ball rolls out of bounds.
A lot of bodies flying right now.
Mustang throw in. Jessica Cooley trying to run it down again. Instead, Valdez got a foot on it. In the midfield, Taylor Barge. Kind of an interesting maneuver there by Hannah Fleet. She just sort of let it go. Well, Mark Lawton has certainly let them play. No doubt about that. Obviously, you get toward the end of a game, you get the emotions of a conference tournament game, and you almost don't have to say it, but fatigue becomes an issue, and it becomes part of the equation. But maybe even more so today with the physicality of the way this game has gone.
Yeah, I think the officials are trying to, get on top of it now. They see the elbows flying, and they're trying to get a handle on this game. Just a lot of time left.
UCF sends it toward the box. Headed high up into the air by Barge. Over toward Valdez, where she goes up with Rodriguez, and Rodriguez gets whistled for a foul. She's not happy. Katie Brown pounds it down the field. Deep back into the SMU offensive end as we get another look there at that contested header. Through ball for SMU, a real chance here. Shot on net, but it's too low. Blair Thorpe put it right on the money at Vera Varis. Varis didn't really even have to do much other than kind of just flex her knees and bend down to her right. She grabbed the low line drive.
That's one of the first real looks they've gotten outside of a set piece this game.
Lobbing toward the right side. Down toward the corner. Vanessa Valdez crosses it wildly. Hard to imagine in the pregame, at least to this point, I realize there's still half an hour of soccer left. For the pregame, we made mention of the fact that this SMU team is going to score. They've pretty much done it all year long, and yet here they are. And I think that means the credit goes to the UCF defense. Obviously, Southern Methodist offensively has been really good, but, man, UCF today has done their job, and they've done it well.
Yeah, Brendan, they've done a really good job on defense, UCF that is, but SMU, the one thing they have going in their favor is they're not necessarily looking to one person to step up and score a goal for them. 12 different players have scored goals for them this season, so there's numerous people that could put it in the back of the net and get them back in this game.
So here comes Emily Tipton, sophomore from Lake Mary, Florida, and we haven't seen Tipton yet today, but maybe she'll be able to give this UCF defense a little bit of a continued boost. At some point, you wonder how much really, truly fresh legs can make a difference on the defensive end.
You have to be careful here. I mean, you're up 1-0. The defense is working well together. But one thing, you have to sometimes think about heading into the later part of the game is that you could potentially have 2 more games this week. And the one thing that Memphis and UConn have that the 4 teams playing today don't have is an extra couple days of rest.
You think about the daunting challenge of being the 3, 4, 5, or 6 seed having played your last regular season game on Sunday, and then having to turn around and play potentially Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. At 4 games in 8 days, that's an awfully difficult task.
Especially at this time of the year. We said it earlier, but bodies are banged up. You've played almost an entire season of soccer at this point, a whole regular season of soccer, rather. So bodies are tired, but you know what? That's what you train for in the preseason, all those fitness tests and all those times you think you can't do it. This is what that's for.
I'm interested in your perspective on kind of that topic. How much of that is physical and how much of it is just mental?
There's no question that there's a physical component that involves a lot of training and preparation throughout the summer, but a lot of it is mental.
Corner kick for the Mustangs. Play to the back of the box. Dangerous area, but nothing came of it.
When there's championships and NCAA tournament bids on the line, you tend to not be thinking about how tired your legs are, rather what's at stake.
Taylor Jackson went after it pretty hard for the Mustangs, but she came up empty. All right, SMU now down inside half an hour. They are less than 30 minutes away from being upset in the first round of the tournament by a team they beat 3-1 earlier in the season. You know, we talked a little bit about what SMU did in the first couple games of the year and that ridiculous shot margin that they had where they put up 71 shots in their opening 2 games. But it wasn't like UCF didn't have any impressive games of their own. How about the 5-0 win against FIU, where FIU did not have a single shot, not a shot on goal. They didn't have a shot the whole game.
That's really impressive. I mean, even if it's a bad shot, for a defense to not give up any shots is, I would say, almost impossible, but clearly not.
I have never seen a box score after 90 minutes of play where a team hasn't shot the ball once.
Doesn't happen often, that's for sure.
So you know, with that being the case, that UCF's defense is certainly for real. I don't care who you're playing. At some level, that's just silly. You're really doing something special.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you know, something to probably note in regards to that is that while the back line had to have had a heck of a game, that probably started from Carol Rodriguez up top.
Well, this SMU offense that has scored closer to 50 than 40 goals this year, they've only managed 2 shots on goal so far. We get a quick stoppage in play. That ball kind of popped up and caught Allie Thornton in the jaw. Hopefully she's all right. We'll get a better look at it here.
Yeah, those never feel good. Those sting a little bit when you get them in the face like that.
Southern Knights keep their 1-0 lead. We'll just pretend we saw it.
Yeah. All of our memories prevail.
That's okay. Up to the far side. Knights patiently looking. Callahan sent it high into the box. Rodriguez was there, but that one's headed down, and now a dangerous spot for a free kick. You can see it. Saupos, arms out to her sides, palm face up. She did not like that she got called for a foul. That might have been partially because of a tough angle from the official.
Yeah, I think right now there's a little bit of everything getting called. That's kind of how this game has trended.
So Rodriguez is there. So is Morgan Ferreira. UCF does not score off many set pieces. This is a critical spot in the game. Rodriguez tries the high arcing shot. Got too much of it. We are nearly 75% of the way through regulation. The Mustangs have not scored. They've only had 2 shots on goal. UCF has committed 10 fouls in the game. It has been a very physical match. But the Knights with a goal in the 5th minute, that's really been the difference. It was definitely one of the keys to the game early on. This UCF group needed to do something early to give themselves some confidence against a team that's had a potent offense all season. Well defended there by the Mustangs. Here comes Cooley. She gives it free toward midfield. That one's played up again. No offside flag up. And defensively, they just cleared away. Thorpe was playing basically at the point, but she couldn't run it down. So Cooley will throw it in. Mustangs trying to turn it back toward the middle. Valdez. Forced hard off the ball. She's still laying down. My goodness.
The way this UCF defense is playing right now, nothing is going to come easy for SMU.
This has been a pretty entertaining game to watch. And a reminder that this is not our only game of the day. About a half an hour after this one finishes up, we will have a rematch of last year's championship game. It's the USF Bulls and the Cincinnati Bearcats coming up about 7 o'clock here on the American Digital Network. Rolling loosely in the middle. And then sent free. USF and Cincinnati, that's the 4-5 game. The USF Bulls and Cincinnati Bearcats both finished conference play 4-3-2. And they actually tied each other with less than a minute to go in the second half of their game at USF this year. The Bearcats scored a tying goal, and then neither team scored in overtime. So they tied at 2 apiece down in Tampa. Barge was knocked down from behind. And the whistle blows. 23 minutes left in the game. SMU at some point probably going to start feeling a little bit of pressure here.
Here's another look at it. UCF coming in a little hard right there, but you know what? For UCF, if they're going to be aggressive, that's the area of the field to do it.
The ball headed straight down into a couple of players by Fredrickson. Valdez heads it forward. Rodriguez going for the jugular. DeBose. Nope. Rolled right to Katie Brown. I've actually been pretty impressed with what Katie Brown has done in goal after the mishap early in the game.
Yeah, I think she would like to have that one back again. A little bit of miscommunication probably in the back there, but she's been very impressive. She's been under some pressure so far.
UCF with a couple of touches. This one in the midfield. Callahan sends it off the mark. Haven't really said Claire Oates' name too many times throughout the game. She's had a really nice season, the junior from Long Beach, California. Valdez. I think she got it on the wrong side of her foot. That ball leaked off to the right and became essentially unplayable. By the way, Morgan Ferreira just recently checked out here, and Amanda Wilkin has come back onto the field. DeBose, centering pass. Callahan looking for the backside. Nope, nothing there either. SMU doesn't seem like they have to work very hard defensively right now because the UCF's really not applying consistent pressure after that first ball kind of rolls free.
Yeah, you know, and I think that the one thing to kind of note about the contrasting styles here is that UCF, they're relying a lot on their speed and athleticism up top. They like to play long balls and through balls and find people through, but SMU likes to work from the back up. They find passes in the midfield and then go forward. So a lot of more small passes, I guess you could say, for SMU.
Caroline Beto was over there. She was actually the last to touch it. About 20 minutes left. Suppose throws it in. Now Valdez. And Fredrickson has marked her all game. either Adrian Lee or the Conference Defender of the Year, Saga Fredriksson from Sweden. They have not let Valdez breathe at all. And we get a Mustang corner kick here.
Yeah, Vanessa Valadez is someone that they need and that they look to consistently for scoring on this team. So we'll see if they can get something on the end of this set piece. This is their specialty.
Thompson. Headed toward the net, and it's in! The Mustangs tie the game. Claire Oates knots it at 1 apiece with under 20 minutes left.
Brenna, you just said that you hadn't called her name very much. Well, there it is, off of the corner. She uses her size there. The junior does, 6 feet tall. That's impressive.
Haley Thompson, number 11, sent it into the box on the corner kick. And then it was a really well-headed ball into the net by Claire Oates. That's her 9th goal of the season. She wasn't even sure it would go in with the defender standing there after Vera Varis had fallen through.
It was a textbook finish. I mean, she got up for that ball, she headed it back down, and more importantly, she headed it back to where it came from, to the keeper's left. Vera Varis got a hand on it, but just wasn't enough.
So here we are with less than 20 minutes left in regulation. The UCF Knights had played really brilliant soccer in the first half. And they'd been good enough in a physical second half until that set piece. You had to think somewhere along the way the Mustangs would put one in. And now the final 20 minutes get a little more daunting.
With the size that SMU has, you can't give them too many opportunities to finish set pieces in the air like that. Eventually, they're not gonna get one in. They're gonna get enough on target to give themselves a chance.
UCF will let Christina Trickett play it in, and she completely miscommunicated with that first defender, and then Fredriksson sent it over the top of the net. Claire Oates, at the moment, she's the hero. Here's another look at it.
Great ball sent into a pack of people there, but she gets up just high enough.
Oh, look, her jersey was really being tugged down.
You better believe it was physical in there.
The bottom of the football pile or in a rugby on a side. Get that chance to get that little extra edge. You don't know if it'll be called. The UCF did everything they could to keep her at bay. But Oates rose up and delivered her 9th goal of the season. And by the way, of her first 8, 5 of them are game-winning goals. So she has really been an impactful player this year. Creighton finds it at the top of the 18. That one deflected off Rodriguez. And Barge clears it. Beto runs it down for a moment. You can see how energized that SMU bench is all of a sudden. The Mustangs have woken up. In this tournament, we've seen lots of goals in the last 10 minutes of the second half, especially from last year's champion, Cincinnati. We've also seen SMU, remember earlier this year, they scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game to beat the UCF Knights. So this is not unfamiliar territory, though it might be uncomfortable territory.
This is going to be a really telling final 17 minutes for UCF. They've been in this situation before earlier this season, but today's a whole different ballgame. There's a lot more on the line today than there was in the regular season. So SMU obviously with some momentum right now, but can UCF kind of dig out of this and, you know, even out this game?
Rolled out of bounds and another throw in for Fredriksson and the Knights. She'll go toward Rodriguez in the corner. Sent into open space for Creighton. She strikes right at Katie Brown. That was a great look.
Yeah, it was a great look, and you can tell she got the ball at her feet and she saw that far post open. Just didn't have quite enough on it. Here's another look at it. Right outside the 18. But Katie Brown.
So SMU repossesses in the midfield after maybe holding their breath for a moment there. Cooley on the far side keeps it in. Apparently she doesn't. The ball rolls out of bounds, and it goes back the other way. Almost total nightfall. There's still a little flicker of daylight left in the night sky just after 6 o'clock local time. We are scheduled to be less than an hour from the opening kick of our second quarterfinal game. But if this one goes to overtime, we'll have to wait and see. Creighton lost her balance trying to keep it in. Now Cooley plays it ahead. And she played it too far forward. Looking up there for Blair Thorpe. Thorpe, 5 goals, 5 assists on the season. She's played well up front. Really complimenting what Thornton, Valdez, and Oates have all done.
You have to imagine UCF starting to feel the pressure a little bit, knowing that they're tied right now with the team who is probably pretty comfortably into the NCAA tournament, but UCF needing to win this one tonight to probably keep their season alive.
Avery Ortman just came on to spare Allie Thornton. So now the leading goal scorer for the Mustangs is off the field for a moment. In a dangerous spot. Low shot blocked by Callahan, or I should say from Callahan. Creighton sends it back to the middle. UCF maintains possession. Coaxa off to the side. Here's Emily Tipton, who checked in about 10 minutes ago. She beats 2 defenders. Rodriguez, too wide on the touch. And another substitution. Here comes Vanessa Valdez back off the bench.
Reporting into the SMU lineup, number 15, Vanessa Valdez.
So Vanessa Valdez coming back in. And she takes the spot of Blair Thorpe. And you wonder if maybe this is just a way of quickly giving a couple of those key players a chance to catch their breath for just a moment. Then they'll get back out there.
They've been working pretty hard here in the second half to try to get this game tied up. So giving them a couple minutes to have a breather, but I would imagine we see them all back in.
A big collision there at the midfield. Here's Ortman. Ortman plays it really far in front of her, and Fredrickson is an excellent defender. She covers that ground quickly. And the Knights get it out of the defensive end. Christine Creighton plays it over the American logo. The vibrantly painted American logo, I might add. Added for the conference tournament. Katie Brown took her time and sent it over to the left-hand side where Taylor Jackson was waiting. Back near side again for Barge. And Jackson once more. That one goes out of bounds. Haley Thompson to throw it back in. UCF really doesn't want to go to overtime with a team that can score as quickly as SMU. I'm not sure SMU wants to go to overtime with a team in UCF that really has everything to play for. Opening round of the conference tournament, the opening game of the tournament, and it has lived up to the billing. Creighton in space. Tried to dump it off to Callahan, but it never really connected.
Had that ball gone through, that would have been a very dangerous potential opportunity for UCF.
Well, the Knights still keep the ball with under 12 minutes to go. Fredrickson's frustrated look on her face. Try to throw it to Creighton. Back to Callahan again. She split 2 defenders. Try to keep it alive. Couldn't get around to third.
Great footwork by her.
A little slow to get up. And a substitution. This time for the Knights. We'll see who comes off of the field. It's Creighton that comes
and
out.
Here's another look. Callahan just weaving through the SMU defense. Just one more she had to get by.
Reporting into the UCF.
Miss Callahan's played well this year, and she certainly played well this game. Just over 10 minutes left, and now we get another foul. Boy, Cooley is not happy. That's kind of a neat little touch. Did you notice the Knight helmet at the bottom of the numbers?
You have some really great eyes.
I did not see that at all throughout the course of the game. That's kind of cool.
That's very neat.
A quick drink of water, and then the ball, or I should say the water bottle, being thrown back to the sideline. Carolyn Beto sends it toward the backside. Everybody leaping. It's headed toward the net, but off to the right. Good effort, but Rodriguez could not get a little bit more accuracy on it.
That was a great ball into the box. It's a tough one to finish that far out from the net, but wait for Rodriguez to get on the end of that.
How difficult is it to make a diving header and actually put it where you want it? It has to be far more difficult than it looks.
It is difficult, I will tell you that. Being able to not only time the ball coming in, but all the jersey tugging, all the physical bodies that are around you, being able to time the ball, get up, and then also place it where you want it to go and get the power behind it. It's not an easy task.
Well, on top of that, the ball is usually spinning with some pretty serious side spin on it. Rodriguez a chance, and no longer. She was offsides. Trying to plead her case, but the officials are not having it. Over 9 minutes to go in the second half. We've seen some late goals from both of these two teams this season. Will somebody come up with a back-breaking goal, or are we headed for extra time? Valadez gives it free for a moment. A fifth-minute goal from the UCF Knights' leading goal scorer. Rodriguez was right place, right time inside the small goal box. And it wasn't until about midway through the second half when Claire Oates tied it up. Cooley. Great move, and the ball rolls out of bounds. A couple of substitutions coming in. They are both for SMU. As expected, Allie Thornton returns. So is senior defender Kelsey Gorney. We haven't seen Gorney yet in the ball game. She's going to take the ball and throw in. Maybe a late game specialist. Valadez centers. Thornton can't finish. Top of the box deflected away. And a corner kick coming. Man, SMU had 3 really good looks. None of them found the net.
Yeah, that was a tough ball for Allie Thornton. I think she saw that ball rolling out, and all she saw was this big goal. But that ball was bouncing in. She had to keep it down, and she had some defenders in the way.
Mary Meehan to play it in. High corner kick. Not a lot of spin on it, but the ball was headed off to where Vera Varis was. UCF dodges a major bullet.
Claire Oates got on the end of that one, but that corner kick just kind of an awkward position, playing it out towards that 18-yard mark. Claire Oates having to work back to get her head on it and then send it back the other way. Just a lot going on right there.
So there's 7 minutes left in the game, or I should say in regulation. At the moment, looks like we could be headed for overtime, but both of these two teams are going to do everything they can to avoid that.
One thing both of these teams have proven is that they know how to score quick.
It's played up for Gorney. Valadez tripped up a little bit. The ball rolls out. Should still be a throw-in for the Mustangs.
Apparently not.
Thought it was very clearly off of a UCF Knight, but that's okay. Taylor Jackson clears it out. UCF with maybe a huge opportunity. Oh, Barge snuck out of nowhere. Rodriguez was thinking there was nothing between her and the keeper, and Barge provided the very last line of defense. Under 6 minutes left. Vanessa Valadez can't get around Fredrickson. Callahan gives it free. UCF finds it at the feet of O'Connell. Runs down the loose ball. Centering pass on target. Backside. Coaxa gives it away. Emily Tipton. And UCF will not have a corner kick. Well defended by Mary Meehan and the Mustangs. You can imagine the pulse rate there for Chris Petroselli, probably spiking a little bit. 5 minutes left in regulation. Since we're in tournament play, penalty kicks become part of the equation after 2 overtime periods. We'll see if those are necessary. Here comes a substitution with under 5 minutes left. It's a UCF sub. Morgan Ferreira back out there after a extended absence. Amanda Wilkin back to the bench. Claire Oates tied it and has given us some late game drama. Rodriguez sends it wildly into no man's land. Well, Vera Varis and Katie Brown have both been tested, but maybe not quite as often as they expected to. UCF is a quick counter team. SMU, a team that seems to just pepper the net. Not tonight. Only seen 15 total shots in the ball game, half of which have gone on net.
I think it's in large part both defenses have played really well tonight.
Heron ran it down, kept it in bounds, then centered it. Here's Hannah Fleet. It's loose. Stepped into by Gorney, but she's off to the right. Kelsey Gorney's provided some nice spark here late.
No question SMU is going to try to use their size to lock this ball into the UCF half.
Vera Varis toward midfield. And it's cleared away by Taylor Jackson into the stands. Small crowd on hand for a game between two teams not named UConn. Here up in Stores, mostly family and friends that have made the trip for the tournament. Callahan gave it up for a moment. SMU possesses. Hannah Fleet. 2.5 minutes to go before overtime. Valadez kills it. The freshman Allie Thornton plays it to Valadez in the corner. She keeps it in play. Reverses direction over Fredrickson. And the centering pass got free. Claire Oates trying to run it down on the backside, and the Knights send it away. The game between the 3rd seed and the 6th seed has been awfully entertaining here in the early going. But with under 2 minutes left in the second half, we might need more time to decide a winner.
You know, for UCF, they would like to erase any uncertainty about going to Friday with a goal here in this last minute 30.
Right idea by Rodriguez, but nobody was there. One comes up our way. The clock is ticking. Fredrickson sends it in again. Taylor Barge trying to hold off Courtney O'Connell. Valadez gave it back to Gorney. And it's out of bounds with a minute to play.
1 minute remaining to play in the second half.
We had an extra ball that popped out onto the field, so UCF will throw it in again. They've got the ball deep in their offensive side. Trying to wipe all the sweat off the ball. Good throw to the middle of the box. Dangerous spot for the Knights. Callahan just off the mark. She was looking for the win and was wide left.
SMU's got to be feeling pretty lucky right now. That was a good look for UCF as the ball gets played back right outside the 18. Callahan with the strike. Kept it down low, just hit it wide.
These two teams played a good, hard-fought game in the regular season, but 2 late goals from the Mustangs, and they got 3 points. Well, in the conference tournament, 90 minutes is not enough. UCF scored in the 5th minute. SMU didn't put one in until midway through the second half, but Claire Oates tied the game at 1, and we are headed for overtime. So the Knights and the Mustangs in the opening game of the tournament, and they are off to a good start. We'll see who can figure out how to scratch across a win today. Overtime coming up next on the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Luminous, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At SMU, students and faculty work hand in hand to shape answers to real-world challenges.
Yes, there's no such thing as a lesser person.
How can we strengthen human rights around the world?
Turns out computer malware is extremely...
How do we prevent cyber terrorism?
The limb comes off.
How can the human body set new records of performance? What can presidents teach us about leadership? From the SMU campus in Dallas, we're shaping the answers that will shape the future of the world.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Well, the first of our 5 games here this week in Connecticut needs extra time. And so there are a quick reminder of your overtime rules. You get 2 10-minute overtime periods. The first of those overtime periods will begin in just about 2.5 minutes. Between the 2 overtime periods, there will be a very brief 1-minute stoppage. If we are still tied after double overtime, then we're going to go to penalty kicks. It's whoever makes the most out of their 5 PKs, and if there still remains a tie, then it becomes a sudden death penalty kick. So we will find out a winner by the end of this one. And by the way, it is golden goal, so if somebody scores at any point during either the first or second overtime, 8-1 on the season, they essentially went 500 in conference. 4 wins, 4 losses, and a tie. Chris Petroselli's SMU Mustangs have had a season to remember. 12-5-1. They won 6 of their 9 conference games. Played tremendous soccer this season. And they needed a 65th minute goal in order to tie things up here tonight.
You know, with it being the conference tournament, a lot at stake here in the first round, but golden goal. It's always interesting because while you want to be aggressive and end this thing before it gets to PKs, you can't take too many risks.
Brendan Gulick and Haley Outen with you on the American Digital Network. The first of our 5 games here this weekend. We will have a second quarterfinal matchup later tonight between USF and Cincinnati. But first, we need to figure out a winner of this one. Let's evaluate both teams real quick as the ball is loose there for a moment at midfield and we get a foul. Where do you think both sides are at, and what do they need to do here in overtime?
Well, for UCF, it's really they just need to keep pressing. They've had some good looks. They've been pretty solid throughout this game, but kind of like Coach Robert Sahedek said to us before the game, they've played well in a lot of games this year, but haven't gotten the result they were looking for, so they'll need to do that here today.
This one played into the box. Dangerous spot. Katie Brown dives on it. Disaster avoided. Here's another look at it.
Great save here by Katie Brown. She comes in off of her line, aggressive. She wasn't going to let what happened to her in the first 5 minutes happen again.
UCF nearly ended this game quickly. SMU won the regular season meeting 3-1. And it's worth noting, by the way, that win at UCF, they also beat USF on the road. The first time that any program in the American since its inception won road games in women's soccer at the 2 Florida schools. USF and UCF are traditionally 2 very good programs. And so maybe at that point, along with the tie against UConn, maybe that's when SMU figured out, you know what, we're a pretty good team this year. Varavaris sends it away, though maybe not far enough for her liking. It's loose in the middle of the field for just a moment. The Knights on the counter. O'Connell plays it toward the middle. Katie Brown deflects it to herself. Claire Oates had the tying goal. She runs it down and sends it on ahead to Blair Thorpe. Thorpe looking for Allie Thornton in the corner. And it's held off by UCF's Julia Ekholm.
What Katie Brown just did there, distributing the ball, is very indicative of what SMU has done all game long. Instead of punching it at midfield and giving UCF a chance to win it, she saw Claire Oates open out wide and just rolled it out to her, try to keep it and build the ball up the field.
7.5 minutes left in our first overtime period. Varavaris sends it free. Creighton back into her own defense. Working up for Rodriguez, who seemingly has been on the field the entire game. She's had a very brief breather. I think it lasted about a minute.
As a senior, I can tell you she is not going to be coming out of this game.
They need her out there. Her early goal gave UCF the upper hand most of the game. Throw in coming from Ms. Emily Tipton. Creighton heads it backwards and into the bench. So now SMU's way. As you might anticipate, everybody on their feet. And believe me, if there's a game-winning goal, the winning team will rush the field. That's an easy foul call against Allie Thornton, who kind of clipped Callahan's legs. She seems to be okay, moving a little gingerly.
What a way to start the tournament, though. A really great game here by both teams. Really, the only downside to this and getting to see some free soccer is the fatigue that could set in later this week from this.
This is going to be a challenge, no doubt, for whatever team wins. Header toward the back, and it's over everybody's head. Ekholm played a nice ball, but just a little too much on it.
With 3 games this week, the goal is obviously to play as few minutes as possible, maybe even get players some rest. But this time it's extra minutes in overtime. Tough way to start out, but hey, it's worth it. You got to win this one to play Friday.
SMU with 10 shots in the game, only 4 of them on goal, 3 of which have been saved. Valadez bumped hard by Fredrickson. Play on. Fredrickson gets it right back from Rodriguez. Wanting to know where she should try and attack. Here's O'Connell. She can't run it down. Well, less than half of our first overtime period has expired, and we still don't have a winner.
While Fredrickson might be small in height, she is fierce and mighty, especially there winning that ball. No foul on the play, but man, is she aggressive.
So Katie Brown will send it in just a moment as everybody catches their breath. The clock did stop for just a moment at 4 minutes and 41 seconds, so we'll reset that on our graphic for you because of some cramping. Vanessa Valadez struggling a little bit to stay hydrated maybe.
You know, it's a pretty warm day, relatively speaking, for New England, and then especially here late in the game in overtime. She's played a lot of minutes, so this is definitely something that can occur, especially at this point in the season.
Mentioned it earlier, the temperatures in Connecticut today, especially for being November 2nd, have been warm. Still 61 degrees. It will probably drop into the low 50s, maybe right around 50 degrees as the night gets later. But for now, Valadez comes back up with a smile on her face, and she'll give it everything she's got.
Whoever the 2 teams are that advance tonight to play Friday, they better enjoy this weather tonight. Really soak it in, because I don't think it's going to be quite as warm on Friday.
Friday's a high of 52 and a low of 28 on Friday night. Hope you've got your warm clothes with you. SMU and UCF tied at 1. These are 2 warm weather programs, no doubt about that. Throw in coming. Well, as they jockeyed for positioning on the far side, the ball rolled over the sideline. Under 4 minutes left to go in the game. There's about a 10-second discrepancy between the 2 clocks at the moment. We'll try to make sure we correct that for you as quickly as we can. But the ball rolls out of bounds on the far side. SMU tries to keep things going. Valadez had it deflect off Fredrickson, and then she avoided it. She was able to get back out of the way and let the ball roll into the corner for a corner kick.
Well, this is how SMU got on the board in the first place off of a set piece off a corner kick. So UCF better be ready to defend here.
Haley Thompson to send it in. Here it comes. Everybody attacks, and Fredrickson takes it herself. She planted her forehead on the ball and sent it away. So SMU resets defensively. Jess Cooley will throw it in from the far side. Still Mustang ball. Cooley with a centering pass. Loose in the top of the box. Valadez can't run it down. And the ball rolls out of bounds. Under 3 minutes to go in overtime. Katie Brown patiently watching her offense. She'd much rather see the ball on the other side of the field at this point in the game. Rodriguez couldn't find it, though it did fall to Ferrara's feet for a moment. And another one rolls out. If nobody scores in the next 2 minutes and change, we'll have a brief stoppage and then another 10-minute overtime. To the far side. Out of bounds. Julia Ekholm plays it back to Callahan. Bridget, a through ball over to Christine Creighton and touched right back to Creighton. And as she tried to center it, Blair Thorpe got in the way. I think that ball was touched, though, over the base, or I should say over the end line. And so UCF gets a set piece.
Katie Brown tried to save that one from going out. It's never a good thing necessarily to give up a corner kick at this point in the game, especially in overtime. These can be so dangerous. She tried to save it, but just out of bounds.
Haley Bishop waiting to check in. Just over a minute left. The corner kick coming from Ferreira. Headed straight down by Rodriguez, and then lofted over the goal. Here comes Haley Bishop with a minute to go in overtime number 1.
1 minute remaining to play in the first overtime period. Reporting into the SMU lineup, number 4, Haley Bishop.
Well, we've played nearly 100 minutes of soccer. And at this point, a 5th-minute goal from UCF, the only one they've been able to manage. Major credit to the Mustangs for not crumbling after an early mistake. Thorpe plays to the far side. Bishop just checked in. Back to Bishop. Hard tackle. Possession not lost, so no whistle. Under 20 seconds to go, and UCF may have dodged a bullet there. And a Fleet had it sent clear, and that should do it for overtime number 1.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There's the buzzer. So the UCF Knights and SMU Mustangs still deadlocked at 1. We'll come back with overtime number 2 after these messages on the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Limitless, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At SMU, students and faculty work hand in hand to shape answers to real-world challenges.
Yes, there's no such thing as a lesser person.
How can we strengthen human rights around the world?
Turns out computer malware is extremely...
How do we prevent cyber terrorism?
The limb comes off.
How can the human body set new records of performance? What can presidents teach us about leadership? From the SMU campus in Dallas, we're shaping the answers that will shape the future of the world.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Well, if the first game of the tournament is any indication of what we're in store for here in stores this week, this could be an awfully memorable 2016 Women's Soccer Championship Tournament. 1-1. SMU, the 3 seed, and UCF, the 6 seed, playing for the second time this year after SMU took game 1, 3-1. Now they meet for all the marbles here in the tournament. This is the quarterfinal matchup. 10 minutes left in this game before we would have to go to PKs. Played toward the middle and chested down for the SMU ladies in white. UCF Knights are in black and gold with that gold trim. Carol Rodriguez, who is just racing after that ball, if you tuned in a little late. She's got the big number 99 on her back. team's leading goal scorer, put in her 12th of the season back in the 5th minute off a deflection. And it wasn't until midway through the second half when SMU's Claire Oates tied the game at 1 apiece. SMU's come out as the aggressor here in the second overtime, but that one had too much touch on it over the backside of the post. Hannah Fleet tried to find a teammate.
SMU's trying to show why they have gotten the success that they've had this season. They're trying to keep their season going here in the championship, and they're showing why they were so tough to beat this year. UCF, on the other hand, really, really needs a win tonight.
Rodriguez fighting for it at midfield. Instead, it's Callahan. O'Connell races after. Nothing doing. The depth of these two teams is also being tested. We've seen a couple of players come on and play sparingly, but late, meaningful minutes. For example, SMU's Kelsey Gorney has come on late. I don't believe she's on the field at the moment, but she played at the tail end of that second half, and she was involved in the run of play over the last several minutes of action. Jessica Cooley fighting. That one rolled out of bounds. 2 minutes gone in our second overtime as Cooley sends it out again.
Not taking any chances here, making sure those balls are getting cleared out. Not the right time to have any mistakes in the back.
The winner of this game will play Memphis on Friday at 4:30 in the semifinals. Memphis, the 2 seed, had a terrific season, and they've won 6 in a row coming into the tournament. Headed down in the middle, rolling free into the UCF defense, where Ekholm sends it back to her keeper, Varis. UCF has done almost nothing offensively here in the second overtime, which is now almost 3 minutes old. Valadez sent it over to the far side. Received the pass right back. That stingy Knights defense led by the Conference Defensive Player of the Year, Saga Fredrickson. They have done a nearly perfect job tonight.
Yeah, she's done a great job on defense, but she has also been key to the UCF attack. I think that's really important to note what she's done both defensively and offensively, really giving SMU a tough time figuring out how to handle her.
On the far side, Emily Tipton, who's played a lot here in the second half and in overtime. This game has suddenly gotten decisively less physical. Most of them fouls were called on, but not all of them. There have been 17 fouls in the game, and UCF has actually picked up a pair of yellow cards. One on Callahan, one on Hannah DeBose. But it's settled down a little bit. Mustangs keep it in play in front of their own bench. Thorpe gets it back. Centers it over. Saupos. Far side now for the Mustangs. That was Thompson. Back to Saupos. She falls down hard. And a late whistle. A foul against the Knights and a set piece coming. Baravaris trying to get her group ready. Blair Thorpe will send in. And here's another look at the foul. I think it's a good, clean call. Emily Tipton kind of raised that leg high up in the air. This is a de facto corner kick.
You can see SMU's targets lined up far post.
Thorpe, soft kick, headed free. Actually right back to her. And she'll go back into the heart of her defense, where Haley Thompson tries to keep the possession alive. There's a strike from a long way out and just off to the right. Hannah Fleet nearly won the game from 30 yards away.
UCF has to be holding their breath a little bit after that one. The ball, great job by Hannah Fleet taking that shot from outside the box, kept it down just wide, but she struck that with a lot of power behind it.
We've played more than 15 additional minutes between the two overtimes. Still deadlocked at 1. The ultimate do or die. Penalty kicks are looming within the next 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Always want to decide it on the field. And these two teams may have to go into a very trying situation. If you win on penalty kicks, there's no better feeling. If you lose on penalty kicks, it's about as deflating as it gets. The ball's rolled back to Katie Brown, and her toughest hour might still be in front of her. Under 4 minutes to play in overtime. You can feel the tension really heightening here in Maroney Stadium at the moment. Carolyn Beto for UCF throws it in. And a corner kick coming for the Knights. Taylor Jackson and Hannah Fleet both there to make sure the ball crossed out of bounds.
Yeah, the SMU defense didn't want to give up that corner there. Probably wishes they could have that one back to just clear it up the field, but didn't know exactly how much pressure was around.
Just the 4th corner kick of the game for the Knights. Back post, Rodriguez with the high leaping header. She couldn't find the mark, and after his second attempt, the ball sent free. Boy, Rodriguez jumped so high, and you just thought maybe it was the game winner in the making.
Yeah, when that ball was in the air, you saw Rodriguez go up for it, and you knew she was going to find a way to get on the end of that ball.
2.5 minutes to go. Fredrickson running it down, and she'll let her keeper, Vera Varis, clear it away instead. Rodriguez trying to play up to Callahan, who is held off. Nice defense there by Taylor Jackson. Brown sends it off. O'Connell. Hard contact, no foul. A little touch pass into the middle. And a Fleet stepped in the way. Soppos. Toward midfield. The Mustangs. 2-on-2, Valadez. She's held off by Carolyn Beto. And Valadez went sliding into it. We are 1.5 minutes away from penalty kicks.
The Yukon women's soccer team, they're taking in some of the game from behind the UCF net.
They wouldn't see either of these teams until a potential championship matchup. But they are interested in the outcome here, knowing both of these two teams well. Their only blemish this season was a draw on this field against the Mustangs. They beat all 8 of the other 8 teams in the conference. Those are the Cincinnati Bearcats waiting to play next. Out of bounds.
You have better eyes than me. I thought it was UConn.
I'm sure USF is looming somewhere too, eagerly waiting for that next opportunity. The Bulls and Bearcats coming up at the conclusion of this one. All right, the ball rolls out of bounds. SMU, do they have something in the tank? Near side for Thornton. Allie Thornton, top of the box. She's bumped down. The ball rolls free. The Mustangs and Knights are still tied at 1, and we are going to one of the most dramatic parts of the game. Penalty kicks in stores coming up next in our 3-6 game in the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Limitless, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At SMU, students and faculty work hand in hand to shape answers to real-world challenges.
Yes, there's no such thing as a lesser person.
How can we strengthen human rights around the world?
Turns out computer malware is extremely...
How do we prevent cyber terrorism?
The limb comes off.
How can the human body set new records of performance? What can presidents teach us about leadership? From the SMU campus in Dallas, we're shaping the answers that will shape the future of the world.
SMU women's soccer has had a great start to their season, and their large freshman class has proved to be a great asset.
I think this group has really changed the team dynamic. I think the energy and enthusiasm that they've brought into the team has helped the team overall, but it's also, it's really helped the upperclassmen as well, and they've meshed together pretty well, and it's been exciting.
They have a lot of energy, and there's 10 of them, so it's almost half of our team, so you kind of, bring up the excitement for the rest of us.
These 18-year-olds are sometimes battling it out on the field with girls who are about to graduate.
It can be intimidating knowing you're playing against 21 and 22-year-olds, so there's kind of that added pressure, but you adjust and you can't really tell much of a difference once you get used to it.
As a freshman, it can be intimidating playing people 4 years older, same as it was in high school, and so I think just having confidence when they play because they all have the ability to do well.
It can be tough, but it's also a motivation, and I enjoy the challenge.
While they adapt to a more intense athletic schedule, these girls also have to adjust to being at college for the first time.
Time management is a huge thing, but we did summer school, a month of that, so that helped a lot getting acclimated when we don't have the whole college campus here. The seniors really have helped us on the field by coaching us what to do, specifics with the team and with our schoolwork.
It's been a lot of hard work, but the hard work has paid off because we've been successful.
These SMU women have already proved that they belong on the team.
It's a young group, but also a mature group in the way that we play together and connect together on the field. I think everyone brings a little bit of confidence and stuff, so we treat them just, like their teammates. It's not any different. There's no class division on the team.
Think of all of us as the same, so I don't treat them any different. Even though they're younger, they're just as good as anyone on the team, and they've earned their spot.
SMU has always had skilled players on the roster, but these girls bring a little something extra.
Everyone's really hungry and ready to come out and play hard.
Yeah, they all work really hard and they never give up. Even if we're down, they keep fighting till the end. They fight all 90 minutes until the game is over.
The whole SMU women's soccer team is excited for the season ahead and the opportunity to prove themselves.
From an underdog position, we have a lot to prove and a lot to show, so we're ready to take on conference.
For Campus Connect at SMU, I'm Noelle Kendall.
After 110 minutes of soccer, the SMU Mustangs and the UCF Knights are still tied at 1. And so for the first time here in the tournament, and because this is the first game of the tournament, we are going to a penalty kick shootout. The 6th-seeded Knights in black and gold from UCF and the 3rd-seeded SMU Mustangs, who are certainly NCAA hopeful regardless of what happens to them in the tournament. The Knights need this win more than anybody else. There's no doubt about that. And they will first send their top goal scorer, Miss Carol Rodriguez, up against Katie Brown. In case you haven't seen penalty kicks recently, a quick reminder, here's how it works. Each team gets 5 kicks alternating. Whoever has scored more after those 5 wins. If nobody has been decided then, we will go after that. The first goal put in. Rodriguez makes it 1-0 Knights.
Great shot by Rodriguez. She keeps it down, places it across her body to the keeper's right. Starts it off the right way for UCF. Brendan, UCF has more experience this season than SMU in taking PKs, at least in the regular season.
We'll see if that factors into anything here as this one gets right down to the wire. Meanwhile, Vanessa Valadez, the first one up for the Mustangs. Valadez measures it and fires. Into the net. Both times the keepers have guessed correctly, and both times Valadez and Rodriguez have answered.
Really strong penalty kick by Valdez, the only SMU Mustang with PK experience this season, so both teams' top PK takers finish first.
So both teams 1 for 1. Get a look at the graphic there up top, which brings to the table for the UCF Knights, I believe that is Zandy Soray. It sure is. Soray, easy chip shot into the right side. Soray drills it, and the Knights have a 2-1 lead.
Great shot here by the freshman. Pushes it wide into the upper net. 2 really strong PKs for UCF to start.
SMU, number 20, Ellie Thornton.
And so, Allie Thornton, the leading goal scorer this year for the SMU Mustangs. As a freshman, this is her first American Conference Tournament game, and maybe the biggest shot of her career coming here. Thornton buries it. We are tied at 2.
Here's another look at Allie Thornton's PK. Finishes it. Looks like she's done that before. Just a freshman, but great poise, great composure in this high-pressure situation.
Now Morgan Ferreira for UCF. Both teams have scored twice. Ferreira misfires. High and wide of the right post. The first blemish.
Here's a look. Heartbreaking miss for Ferreira. That's no question. I mean, these look so much easier to take than they are, but there is so much pressure in these situations.
So SMU sends Hannah Fleet, the redshirt freshman from Nova Scotia. This is a big opportunity here. Fleet hits the post. The Knights with an enormous exhale. Wow.
Wow, that was big for UCF. She had the right approach. She takes it, keeps it low on the ground, but gosh, sometimes it's just a matter of centimeters on whether or not that ball is going to go in or not.
So the Knights give the ball to the junior, Julia Moore. Moore did not play in regulation. Both teams have hit 2 out of 3. So the pressure heightens. Here it comes. Stopped! Katie Brown with a diving save.
Huge save for Katie Brown. You know, as a goalkeeper, their goal going into PKs usually is just to make one save. If you can make one save, you've given your team a chance to win it. And that's exactly what she did right there. SMU can capitalize right now.
Well, Oates scored the tying goal in the 63rd minute. Claire Oates with a chance to make UCF pay here. And she puts it in. UCF must make this PK or the game is over.
Great placement. Way to stay calm in this situation. You see keepers making saves. You see people missing. But just to stay focused and in your zone and make that kick is so tough.
It's all up to the redshirt senior, Amanda Wilkin. The UCF Knights must score here. And it's saved! The Mustangs survive in PKs, and they will play the Memphis Tigers in the semifinals.
SMU will now advance on penalty kicks to play in the semifinals on Friday
Both teams capitalized on their first goals, and UCF missed 3 in a row.
Great save right there by Katie Brown. Comes up huge for her team. That seals it. SMU on to the semifinals.
Unbelievable finish. Well, it had to be that dramatic given the way things had gone here throughout the first 110 minutes. Just a tremendous effort by the SMU Mustangs, who gave up a goal in the 5th minute of this game and somehow managed to not bend too far. The Mustangs survive. You can see the emotions overpouring down on the field. Katie Brown with 2 diving saves. Morgan Ferreira had missed high and wide, and you can see for all of the happy emotions on the SMU side, devastation for the UCF Knights, whose season likely comes to an end here today. The Mustangs survive on PKs, and that means that they will go on to play the Memphis Tigers on Friday at 4:30. What a finish. Congratulations to the Mustangs. We'll talk with the head coach and a player when we come back on the American Digital Network.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Access to traditional prosthetics for kids is challenging. At Limitless, my goal is really to give them a chance to chase their dreams and to instill confidence so that they can go after whatever they want.
De ver o sonho meu, do meu filho, sendo realizado. Isso não tem preço.
The labs at UCF were so instrumental. I couldn't be in a better place. This is where I call my home.
At SMU, students and faculty work hand in hand to shape answers to real-world challenges.
Yes, there's no such thing as a lesser person.
How can we strengthen human rights around the world?
Turns out computer malware is extremely...
How do we prevent cyber terrorism?
The limb comes off.
How can the human body set new records of performance? What can presidents teach us about leadership? From the SMU campus in Dallas, we're shaping the answers that will shape the future of the world.
We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power. We are American. The conference of opportunity. The opportunity to chase dreams. The opportunity to make your mark and change the game. Because that's power. We are power.
Carl.
What an amazing finish between the UCF Knights and the SMU Mustangs. It needed penalty kicks at the end, but the UCF Knights unfortunately missed on their last 3 in a row, and the third-seeded Mustangs survive in the quarterfinal round here in Stores. UCF scored in the first 5 minutes of the game, but they could not find the back of the net again, as the SMU Mustangs' unbelievable season continues. Their record up to date now 13-5-1, and in their now 10 matches against conference teams, including this first in the postseason, 7-2-1 after finishing 6-2-1 in the regular season. We are waiting to go down and talk with a head coach and with a player. It looks like we might be ready to go. So Haley Outen down on the field here with Katie Brown, the winning goalkeeper for the SMU Mustangs.
Katie, what a game for you all. Earlier in this season, you guys found yourselves down 1-0 against UCF. Same exact thing today, a quick goal for them off the bat. How well did your team perform to really get back into it, fight back, and never give up?
You know, I think my team does a really good job shaking it off and, you know, just playing like it's 0-0. And, you know, I think after the goal, we played like that, like it was 0-0. And we came back and we gave every second of every, you know, every ball, all the minutes that we played on the game. We gave it our all so that we could come back and win this.
As a goalkeeper, what is that like? I mean, obviously a lot of pressure in double overtime, knowing it's golden goal, but then to go into PKs. What is your process? What is your goal going into PKs?
Going into PKs, it's just, you know, I talked to my coach before, and he said just make a decision and, you know,
just
go where you feel like you have the best chance of saving the ball. So for me, you know, I just read it and made a decision, went which way I thought they were going, and worked out well for me.
Congratulations. Good luck in the semis.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Back up to you, Brendan. We'll be joined here by Coach in a second.
I'm quite sure those Mustangs down in the field are all having some fun, and we will certainly celebrate along with them, celebrate their success as the Mustangs have knocked off the UCF Knights in PKs by just a couple of strokes. All right, back down with Haley and Coach Chris Petrusel.
Coach, another quick start for UCF today. Found yourselves down, but your team kept fighting. They looked like they kept their composure throughout the game. What were you happy about in seeing your team fight back from a 1-0 deficit?
Well, we kept passing the ball, you know, and it's important that we keep trying to play, and you know we're able to really get some possession and get a goal back. But you know, UCF played great. I mean, it's a draw was a fair result. Unfortunately for them, someone has to go home, but it was a fun game.
Knowing that PKs are always potentially going to happen in the postseason, as a coach, how do you prepare your team to take penalty kicks? They're such a high-pressure situation. How did you guys prepare for the situation that happened today?
Quite honestly, we've been preparing all year. We've been taking penalties from the beginning of the year, you know, and we've worked in different players and we've added in more and more along the way. So, you know, that's what I told them in the huddle. Like, I don't know that anybody's practiced them any more than we have. So we should be pretty good at them, and we were.
In PKs, Katie Brown did what she needed to do for you. And did you say?
My assistant said to her, commit to diving. You know, make sure you commit to it. Don't be afraid if you go one way and they go the other way. Just make sure you commit to it. And she made 2 pretty good saves.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck in the semis.
Thank you, Al.
Back up.
The feel-good story of the year continues. The SMU Mustangs live on. They will take on the Memphis Tigers. We update that bracket, so it's the number 3 seed and number 2 seed in Friday's first semifinal, and we will still decide who the final team to join them and play the Huskies is on Friday, with the next game coming up. On behalf of our entire production crew and Haley Outen, I'm Brendan Gulick. So long from Maroney Stadium. Our next game comes up at 7:45 tonight, but it's the Mustangs that live on past the UCF Knights. SMU moves on in the American Conference Tournament.